Hello and welcome back. My name's Liam and I'm the developer of Patch Quest, an upcoming action roguelike game where you explore an abandoned tropical island. Your character has the power to mount and ride every enemy in the game, and this lets you use all of their abilities in combat. So this month I've added a cinematic that explains the basic storyline of the game. Hopefully that cinematic makes it a little clearer why you're here and what you're trying to do, especially if you've never played before. I've also overhauled the first level of the game to make it better explain Patch Quest's core mechanics. But I'm going to skip over that because I'd much rather talk about another new feature, terraforming. Most of Patchlantis is an untamed wilderness, where monsters rule and nobody has visited for centuries. On the minimap, this green section surrounding your base camp shows the landscaped part of the island, where you have some influence over nature. On the other hand, this dark section shows the wild part of the island, where the terrain is thicker and the monsters are more aggressive. You'll know that you've crossed into a wild area because the weather picks up. You'll also notice a jump in the difficulty of combat. From a game design perspective, the point of the wilderness is to make travelling more difficult as you get further away from your starting location. This helps to shape the game's difficulty curve. However, I've also added a way to tame the wilderness and bring it under your control. As you explore, you'll occasionally come across these fertile soil plot patches. These allow you to modify the local habitat. Here's how it works. If you've been following development so far, you'll already know that you can capture the plants that grow on Patchlantis. This makes you level up, but that used to be the only real benefit. Until now, because now if you manage to reach an empty soil plot, you can plant one of your captured samples in the soil. This seed will then immediately grow into a garden of similar plants, and adjacent rooms will also become a part of this garden, growing copies of the plant when you step inside. The benefits of planting a garden depend on what you've planted. If you plant a healing bush or an ammo bush, you'll be able to forage from them as you pass through. Alternatively, if you plant something dangerous, it'll help you out in battle. Since you grew these plants yourself, they'll only hurt enemy monsters. On the other hand, some plants don't do much by themselves, but instead they might feed a particular kind of monster, and those monsters will become your allies. This means that you can mount them for an easy ride. And they'll even help out in combat. Isn't that nice of them? You can also grow rocks and minerals too. That's how fertile this soil is. So there's also another benefit to planting a garden. It clears the wilderness from adjacent rooms. This means that the bad weather dies down, the terrain will be less rugged, and the monsters will be less fierce. If we look at our minimap, we can now see a green clearing around each of our gardens. This indicates that the wilderness has been cleared from that area. Once you've planted a garden, it will stay in that spot permanently, even on future runs, which means that over time, you can clear out more and more of the wilderness as Patchlantis gradually comes under your control. Returning to our chart from earlier, the idea behind this mechanic is to create dynamic difficulty, which basically means difficulty that adjusts to the player's skill level. A newer player can gradually bring the difficulty down a few notches by expanding their control over the wilderness. On the other hand, if you think you're tough enough, you can run straight towards your destination and face off against the full fury of nature as you go. If you've been following the devlog for a while, you'll know that Patchlantis used to be covered by a storm, and that you could use your patches to plug holes in the world, and this would push the storm backwards. This new terraforming system is a replacement for the old storm mechanics. And the biggest difference is that the terraforming system is much more granular. You can plant things in many more locations to get a wider variety of more local effects. So hopefully you'll enjoy landscaping the island and customizing it to suit your gameplay style. Your base camp has been changed too. Your cabin now has a bioreactor, which can convert unwanted plants into fertilizer. This fertilizer can then be used to upgrade your gardens, increasing the potency of their effects. Also, you'll now occasionally come across shiny plants. These shiny plants will have stronger effects when you plant them, and this boost stacks with your fertilizer too. Shiny loot is also worth more fertilizer when recycled. And they look pretty cool in your records menu as well. I've also made a series of smaller changes. Let's run through them rapid fire. Whenever you level up one of your mounts, you'll unlock a new skill. I've added these new animated skill summaries that explain your new skill and show how it works. Hopefully this makes the game a little easier to get into. I've also cranked up the rate of fire on your Nutriblaster. Your gloop now sprays out in a high-powered stream. And to compensate for this, I've lowered the damage per bullet so that your overall DPS has stayed constant. Your mounts now lose 10 stamina at the end of each combat, instead of slowly draining stamina over time. This means that you won't run out of stamina in the middle of a fight and be forced to dismount. Also, each of the different habitat types has now been given a fixed location. If you want to visit every habitat, you'll now need to explore more of the overworld. There's a bunch of other changes too, more than I can list here, and so if you want to read the full patch notes, just hop on over to the official Discord server. There's a link in the description. This server also lets you play the latest beta of the game, which includes everything that I've covered in this video. Just visit the playtest channel to claim your free copy. I should mention here that, because of the sweeping changes to the overworld this month, your save data won't carry over from previous updates. I never enjoy wiping people's save data, but sometimes it's unfortunately necessary. However, this should be, hopefully, the last time I wipe your progress, which makes this a great time to jump in if you haven't played already. So, let's now quickly cover my future plans. Patch Quest now contains pretty much all of the planned mechanics. You can ride monsters, explore the overworld, capture loot and spend it to terraform the wilderness. There's also a few dungeons to clear, and the early game is now pretty much complete. That means that Development Phase 3 is now finished, and I'm finally entering Development Phase 4. This phase is all about content. I want to add more monsters, more encounters, more dungeons, and just more content in general to flesh out the middle and the later parts of the game. I'll also be working on balance, trying to make the game easier to get into, while also more challenging to complete. And at the end of Dev Phase 4, I'll be releasing Patch Quest on Steam. By the way, this video also marks 1 full year of making devlog episodes. Patch Quest has come a really long way in this past year. It was pretty much a tech demo last February, whereas now it's very quickly becoming a fully featured game. And in 2020 I'm planning to add a whole bunch of new stuff. If you want to follow my progress, remember to sub and ring the bell. And if you want to play the game or make development suggestions, remember to visit the Discord server as well. Your support is really what motivates me to continue developing. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.